Hi everybody, Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Sunday, December the 8th. Well, third time's the charm, we hope, for the Grade 3 Fall Highweight Handicap. Rescheduled again for Sunday. And as we take a look at the field, we're going 6 furlongs, $200,000 is the purse. This card is race number 9 at Aqueduct on Sunday, and you can download free Formulator past performances for the Fall Highweight on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Download them, handicap along with us. A lot of speed horses in this race. Mike, I'm surprised that the Timeform US Pace Projector has this a blue bar scenario, because you have Recruiting Ready the 3, Strike Power the 4. Those two are fast horses. I just can't imagine this pace being slow or a pace scenario that would favor front runners just off the cold dope.
I guess it really only favors, one of them if they can somehow manage to shake free of the other. I just didn't know if that was going to happen. They're both fast. They're drawn right next to each other. I feel like they're both going in here.
I would have to think the Recruiting Ready drawing inside has to go. And Strike Power, I just don't think is rateable. I think every time they try to take a hold of him, it never works out. So he's got to go. And this could set things up perhaps for some late runners. Now, the one No Distortion is expected to be last in the early portion of this race. I kind of agree with that. It's been a long and winding road for No Distortion, who was a stakes winner at Monmouth as a 3-year-old, then is dipped for as low as a $10,000 claiming tag. And now he's in the Fall Highweight based on this win for a $40,000 tag last time out. Here he is, widest and fastest.
I mean, he ran really well in this race, Dan. It's only a 40 claimer, but, we're going to show you the stretch run, obviously, where he's just powering past this field and going away the final furlong. But he had real trouble at the start of this race. He broke fine, but they were rating. He got in tight between horses, steadied all the way out to the back of the field. And then he came with a really big run from off the pace. I didn't think it made him a contender in a race like this, but he ran really well last time.
The key to this race could very well be the number 2, Nicodemus, who's cross-entered in the Cigar Mile on Saturday. Linda Rice has been talking that she wants to run this horse in the Cigar, but she's cross-entered Nicodemus here. Nicodemus was entered in the Fall Highweight, well, the second rendition of the Fall Highweight that was canceled. Nicodemus hasn't been seen since July, where he didn't run very well in the John A. Nehrude because there was just no pace for him. It was a hot day. He had some heat exhaustion afterwards. He's coming back off a lengthy layoff. He's going to have to tote 129. But if the 3 and the 4 hook up, it could set things up very nicely for Nicodemus.
It does work to his advantage if they go at it. I mean, I guess the only concern with him in this race, I guess one of the concerns, the layoff is one, and then the other one would be maybe 6 is a little short for him, Dan. But he ran really well 2 starts back in the True North going 6.5. I don't know. Listen, I like him a little bit in the Cigar Mile. So if he doesn't run there and runs here, I feel like I have to take him in this race.
The 3 is Recruiting Ready, a horse with 6 triple-digit buyers on his resume. He looked good last time out at Churchill Downs, winning the Bet on Sunshine Stakes. And we talked about it when we did the first edition of the Fall Highweight preview that was scrapped. It didn't look like he was going very fast. He just seemed very comfortable on the lead. And I look up at the fractions, and he goes 21 flat, 43 and 4, and he wins under a hand ride. And that race has come back live with 3 next out winners.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Listen, that's really when this horse is at his best, right? When he can get to the front, that's when he runs his best races. The fractions are what they are for that last race. I think it's worth noting that if you go back 3 races on his PPs, sort of a similar situation there. The fractions look fast, but when you watch the race, he didn't really look like he was flying up in front. I don't know. Obviously, in a lot of ways, he's the horse to beat in here because his good race is very, very tough. But I do think he needs the lead to run that race.
And Strike Power, the number 4, figures to at least be right on top of him in the early portion of this race. He began his career like he was going to be a nice sprinter. The Connections got a little bit of Kentucky Derby fever after a second in the Fountain of Youth, a race where it was just a carousel. They ran 1-2 all the way around the track, and this horse lost his form. I love that Henning gave him plenty of time, brought him back at Gulfstream at 4. His first 2 races strong. The Vanderbilt, I'm not going to hold that race against him. Just look who he was in against that day. And then last time out, they tried the turf. That's not his game. This is a very interesting horse if you believe he can outfoot the 3 to the front.
Yeah, that is the real key to the race, whether he can make the lead or not. And then if he does, how hard does Recruiting Ready come after him? If he gets loose, he's dangerous. He ran a couple of fast races off the layoff. You don't really care about the Vanderbilt. You don't really care about the turf race last time. Listen, there are things to like about him, Dan. We'll see what kind of trip he can work out in here. It's worth noting that Mark Hennig gotten on a pretty good run the last couple of days at Aqueduct. His horses are very live right now.
I think the one concern is that the Big Fig 102 that we saw 3 starts back came when he was on the best part of the racetrack at Belmont. Yeah. He was down on the rail, and that's really where you wanted to be all week long. So maybe he's a little bit dressed up off that race, but I think he has other races plenty good enough to win this. The 5 Wonderful Light, Mike, has speed, and he sits off the 2 speeds. I think he's going to sit a great trip in third here for Michelle Nevin and Joel Rosario. His most recent race at Laurel we're going to look at right now, the Chaladan, he didn't run well. I think he was too aggressively ridden. I don't think the rail was very good this day. And Wonderful Light just doesn't look comfortable. He's on his left lead for most of the stretch. He didn't fire here, and he's been freshened. I like that. I think he can perch himself off the 2 speeds, and he has a race on the way back at Aqueduct that's fast enough to win this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he didn't run well. You're right, in that race that we just watched as a heavy favorite. But I thought that there were ways to excuse it. Being early dueling between horses, he wound up down inside. I don't think 7 furlongs is a good distance for him. I really like him much better at 6. I think he can get a good trip in this race. Listen, I'm using this horse. I have Nicodemus as my top pick when we get to that. But if he doesn't run here, I'll be happy to scratch in the Wonderful Light.
See This Quick just looks in tough, and he just popped a 94 buyer last time out, went in for the 62.5 optional claiming tag. We'll watch that race now. Keep in mind that this race is a mile. This horse has a big lead in the stretch, went pretty quick early, and he's going to get run down in the lane. I was a little bit disappointed that he blew the lead here, but he was 11-1 in a tough spot. Backside of the moon right now is in very, very good form. Cutting back in distance, he's not making the front against these kind of horses, and he might just be class compromised.
Yeah, he looks like another horse who's probably in too tough here. Not only has he been no match for Happy Farm a couple of times recently, Happy Farm's not really one of the major players in this race, so this horse has a lot in front of him in this race.
Happy Farm has improved, however, since being claimed by Jason Service. He's won his last 3 races. His buyers have crept into the low 90s. He's going to need another boost to take down the big names in this race, but he draws outside with tactical speed, and I could see him and Wonderful Light kind of working out that second flight trip off the speed. So I'm not worried about the trip. I just think he needs to take a step forward.
I look at it in the exact same way. I do think he can get a good trip in this race, and I respect the fact that this is Service now, and that Service has this horse in top form right now. But I didn't really think he was good enough to beat this field.
Let's take a look at our top selections for Sunday's race of the day, the Fall Highway. You like Nicodemus a little bit in the Cigar. If he doesn't run in the Cigar, you kind of have to like him here. You explained it perfectly. If not, however, you're going to give Wonderful Light a little bit of a shot. The 5, you went 2-5-3-4.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know where Nicodemus is going to run, but I think he looks pretty tough in this race if he runs here, especially if the pace develops. But if he doesn't run, again, I'll be happy to take Wonderful Light. I have a little thing for this horse, and I think the 6 furlongs is a better distance for him.
I've always been a fan of recruiting Ready, and I'm willing to admit that maybe I've overestimated him at times. There are times when he just doesn't show up, and he's very disappointing. I'm worried that Strike Power will put the pressure on him, but I just love the way he won last time out at Churchill. And if he can run that race back, he's going to be really, really tough. I'll go 3-6-4-7, Grade 3 Fall Highweight Handicap, Sunday DRF Race of the Day. Get those free PPs on the Race of the Day event page. 3:45 Eastern is your approximate post time on Sunday at the Big A. Best of luck.